Today I want to talk about solid modeling and as it pertains to using your solid model history. So I'm going to create a generic, a very simple 3-axis solid model. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in my solid modeling palette. Now when you initially open up this palette, it only starts with one palette. So I like to open these first two boxes as well. Now what I like to do is take the first one that I open, drag it up and stick it to the bottom of the first. And then the second one, I'll drag that one up to the bottom of this. And they kind of act like magnets and they stick together. So then I can just take the top one and drag it around and they'll all be located together. I like to have all three open at the same time. And if I close that, reopen it, they'll all stay open. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a rectangular cube the size of my stock. So the easiest way to do that is I could go into document control and I could put in all the corners of my stock, but there is a tool in here called Cuboid, the second one on the second palette. So if I open this up, it's looking for 6 dimensions for all the corners of your cube. I can just click on this stock dimension button and it'll pre-populate all those based on what's in my document control. So as soon as I do that, I can click do it and there's a simple rectangle. So right now I don't need that, so I'm going to put that in my body bag by double clicking on it. Close this tool out, and I've got some geometry created, such as this step here. So this is just a simple rectangle, and this is drawn in the XZ coordinate system. I have all 3 of my natural coordinate systems created, and this one needs to be an XZ. So what I'm going to do is double click on that piece of geometry, and I'm going to go to my extrude tab. And because I'm going to be subtracting this out of my actual rectangle, these dimensions really don't matter as long as they extend past the extents of my rectangular shaped solid. So I'm going to go plus 5 inches and say minus 5 inches. And then I have a big long rectangle here. So if I bring out my other cube, you see they intersect. So I'm going to subtract this rectangle from this rectangle by simply selecting the one I want to keep first. You always select the one you want to keep first. Hold down Control, and then select the second one. And then I can go up here to my subtraction button and subtract that out of there. So it creates a cavity from where that other rectangle was intersecting this main rectangle. So put this back in the body bag and I'll go to this second one. And I've got another piece of 2D geometry, this little triangle here. And I'm going to do the same thing with this. Have it extruded. I'll bring my other one back. I'll select what I want to keep. Hold down Control, select what I want to get rid of, and subtract that out. And I have a little undercut there. Now, my third piece of geometry, I have a rectangular pocket, a rectangular shape here with corner radiuses. Now, I do need to go back to XY plane. When my geometry is purple, it shows that that geometry is created in a different coordinate system than one you're actively viewing. So I need to go back to XY and then it turns this nice lighter shade of blue. So I'm going to select this piece of geometry and I'm going to extrude it up 5 inches or up 1 inch. Doesn't really matter as long as it extends past the extents of my solid model. And I'm going to go down negative 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to click do it there. And then I have a little rectangular shape. So again, I'm going to hold down Control, click what I want to keep, what I want to get rid of, and subtract that out of there. All right. And then I have a nice bowl hole pattern here. So the easiest way is I could Control select all these circles to extrude them, but I can also use this button to just turn off the visibility of my solids. Then I can hold down Shift, drag all of those, and I'm going to extrude those up 1 inch and say down negative 3/4 of an inch. Do it. So when I created those, it turned the visibility of my model back on. So as you can see, I have my original model, and then I have these extruded cylinders. So if I bring this back out, select what I want to keep, again, hold Control and select any one of these cylinders. Now, because these were all created at the same time, they are all connected, even though they're not physically touching. So again, hold down Control, select what I want to keep, what I want to get rid of, subtract those out of there, and I have a nice little bowl hole pattern in here. Now, what I can do is I can do some modifications to this existing model. So I'm going to turn on my edge selection here. And when I click this button, it highlights all the edges of my solid model. And I can actually select them. So I'm going to select this front edge here, and I'm going to go into my blending tool, which is the third icon on my advanced solid modeling palette. And I'm going to put a chamfer on there, say 1/2 inch. There we go. I have a nice little chamfer on this front edge. And let's break the edge of this pocket. So if I double click on that shape, whether it be the bottom or the top, it will select all the connecting edges to that. So then I'm going to put a radius in here of say 0.1 and do it. So if I turn off edge selection, I have a nice radius pocket here. I have a nice chamfer here. And we have a decent little model here. Now, what I specifically wanted to show you is that SolidWorks, when you're creating a model within SolidWorks, or whether you've imported a model and you do modifications to the model that you've imported, it retains the history of that model. So to see that history, if you simply right-click on the model and go down here to where it says Show History, it shows you the hierarchy in which you created this model. So it gives the solid model name, and then how you created it, whether it be from subtraction, creating a cube, extrusion. So it gives you a documented history of all the steps it took for you to create this model. Now, this can be confusing, and oftentimes what I do, as a matter of fact all the time, is to help me interpret what this history is telling me. I will, again, right-click on my model, and I will go to Show Properties. And when I do that, it does give you a nice little picture of the current model that you're looking at. It shows you a picture of it. So as I go back through the history, and if I click on this cubic graphic here, you see right now it shows my fully modeled part. If I go back, it shows it going back through time, through the history of the creation of this model. You see the radius has disappeared, the chamfer's disappeared, bolt hole's gone, pocket's gone, undercut's gone. And so I can see the actual history of how I created this model. Now where this has value is, say for instance this part came in as a forging or a casting, and all I needed to machine was the bolt holes, the pocket, and this chamfer. Rather than creating a new solid model, I can go back and find where that part is. So here the radius is gone, bolt hole's gone, pocket's gone. So this looks like a good part, a place in the history of this model that I could reawaken. So all you would need to do is, I'm going to put the main model in the body bag. I'll go back into this, and I'll just simply double click on this cubic icon. And it recreates that model as it was back in its history. So now I actually have two models. So then what I can do is I can take this model, right click on it, and I'll just tell it that this is now my stock. So that if this was a second operation, I could simply go in here and machine the pocket, machine the radius, and machine the bolt holes and chamfer, and you will see it being machined on your actual blue stock. So that is really one of the powerful tools within solid model history. Now, one final thing about your solid model history is, because GibbsCAM retains all revisions of the model as you're creating it, it does make your GibbsCAM file, your VNC file, get larger, because it retains all of that data. So if you get to a point where you're done with solid model history, maybe you're done with the program, or you need to email this file or archive it or back it up, and you want to save a little hard disk space, what you can do is right click on your model and just simply say clear history. You make sure you want to make sure you do this, because it's not undoable. And when you say yes, then all that history will be cleared out. If you show history again, no more history to that model. So that's one way to decrease the size of your VNC files to save yourself a little bit of hard drive. So there we have solid model history. I think it's a pretty powerful tool, and hopefully this explains a little bit of how you can use it to make your day a little bit more productive. Thank you.